How's it going, everybody? Brian coming back to you here today. Back in our little hangout racing pad here we got. Just want to talk about a little bit about the local racing scene, start dates, and what they run for division, stuff like that. Hopefully, maybe some of you guys haven't been to these tracks or something, and it'd be really cool for you guys to come out and support them, and support some of us guys that really love our local racing scene. And yeah, so start off with Bear Ridge, owned by Butch Elms. He's ran that track many years, been around 57 years or so. They run a sportsman modified division. Jason Gray's won, I don't even know how many in a row now in the sportsman mod class, to be honest with you. I'm tired of seeing him win up there, but good for him, to be honest with you. I mean, they're passionate about what they do, and he cares, and they have a really good program and good backing and stuff like that. So props to them to be able to make it all work and put everything together every year and keep the nose on the car. And it pays off. I mean, he's you don't become a multi-time champion for lack of effort and not putting the time in to get where they're going. I'd really love to see Dolliver give him a run for his money, but we'll see here. That's who I'm rooting for, is Max. So we'll see how this year goes, whatnot. But you never know in that division too. There's so many comers and goers throughout the season. I mean, there's a lot of guys that they just get stuck in tough luck. I mean, Bear's is a tough track, modifies. They don't have piles of room to make it around that place. And, they put on a good show, though. And, Jason seems to figure out how to come from the back to the front every week and get it done. So, props to him. So, next, it's the limited modified division. They started a couple years ago. They, I can't tell you exactly the difference between the sportsman and the limited. I mean, obviously, there's some differences. They might have to run a 2-barrel, instead of a 4-barrel like a regular sportsman mod would. I don't know if they're able to run coilovers or anything, or if they're still bar cars on torsion bars. But yeah, another cool division. Younger guys and people kind of newer in the mod scene, in a sense, been running them, and a couple old timers, hop in once in a while and run with the younger guys, help them, learn a line, or, just how to get around the track or whatever. But it's a cool division. It just helps get seat time, and, it's a little more affordable from what I've been told. I know they do have like a tire rule or something like that. I believe you gotta stay on the same set of tires from your heat from your heat race to your feature. So kind of neat, so they're, they get kind of worn tires, and they, whatever, so they don't hook up as well, drive a little bit different than, say the sportsman mod would or whatever. But next we got the Dirt Stocks. Dirt Stocks is, I gotta say, probably my favorite. I think they put on the best weekly racing every week. They do a really good job just putting on a show. I mean, you don't know if you're going to see somebody end up destroyed, or, or a 3-wide finish, or, you never know what you're going to see in that dirt stock class. And, my best friend, I help him out on his car in the dirt stock. We won the championship last year and stuff. So that was pretty neat. I've been going there since I was a young kid. Have a lot of memories at Bear Ridge, and I'm begging my grandparents since the time I was probably 4 years old to go down there with them weekly. And that place is a big part of me, and it's cool to be a part of something there now, and I mean, have something I can definitely always be right there in the memory bank. Winning the championship last year, helping out fellows. They also run the late model series. They do not run weekly. I think they run like every other week maybe, or something like that. I don't know a whole lot about them. I know they don't run the IMCA stuff, so they're a little bit different setup. But another good class, put on decent racing. Then you got the coupe division. That's probably my second favorite class, to be honest with you. I ran a coupe for a couple years and had a lot of fun with that. Didn't have much success, didn't have the means to, you know, be doing what we were trying to do, but had a lot of fun, met a lot of great people, a lot of great drivers, just awesome people, to be honest with you. The 4-cylinder division, you know, obviously there's that. They run rear-wheel drive cars with front-wheel drive cars. My personal opinion, you know, the rear-wheel guys are kind of at a little disadvantage, especially, you know, on a slick track, and you know, the front-wheel drive cars just hook up so much better when the track slicks off, and you know, there's not a lot of bite. So, you know, it's pretty tough for them. You know, the last couple of years, the rear-wheel drive cars just haven't really competed, but you can run a rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, four-cylinder. They also run the Granite State Mini Sprints. Great kind of feeder series, in my opinion, for like, you know, if you're looking to move up to like a midget or a sprint car, the New England Sprint Car Series or something like that. They do a great job. A lot of great people. You know, I ran those when I was a kid growing up, and you know, it's where everything started for me. Yeah, they're a lot of fun, put on good races. But yeah, I believe, I can't remember who runs it now, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think of it, but name don't come to my head right now. But yeah, great series, great people, great racing. They go to Legion Speedway as well. That's also not too far from us here in Wentworth, New Hampshire. Yeah, so great series, great cars. They run 500, 600 mixed mini sprints. Chassis are a little bit different on the 600. You can run a 600 chassis and a 500, so you know, you can kind of go both ways. You get a 600 chassis, and if you want to start off racing that in a 500, then put a 600 motor on and move up for the year after or whatever. You know, it's pretty neat that you can do that. Obviously, the midgets are here, the DMA dirt midgets. Put on great racing, great show. The New England Sprint Car Series, like I was saying, they can do select shows, kind of same as DMA and Granite State and the late models. None of those are weekly. But yeah, great racing. They make select starts and shows. Thunder Road starts May 3rd. Asphalt track around here, not even 30 minutes from my house. Neither is Bear Ridge. They got the late model division. You know, very competitive late model division up there. Some really great racing, I gotta admit. If you haven't been up to Thunder Road, I definitely, you know, would try to push for somebody to go up there and check that out. You guys gotta stop up, check that place out. You know, it's like going to a little mini NASCAR event. A lot of people, a lot of good people, very nice facility. They've done an awesome job what they've done to that track over the years since I was a kid. You know, I know a lot of people didn't like when they put the wall in, but my opinion, you know, I think it's helped make the racing a little bit better, my opinion. I think it's changed the way people have to approach the corners and, you know, just how you run the track and their groove and everything. They run a Tiger division down there too. I don't know exactly the differences for like rule package compared to like your motor for like carburetors or whatever for the difference. I believe they have to run stock manifolds, stuff like that. Then you got the street stock division, which is, you know, a 4-cylinder. They run a track tire though. You can run rear wheel drive, front wheel drive in that as well. Very competitive, a lot of cars always. You know, them boys like to tear some stuff up too, so they put on a good show. Then you got the bone stock. I believe they call them the Road Warriors, I believe is what they're called down there, which is, you know, really, you know, stock DOT tires, you know, steel rims, just as basic as it gets, you know, closer almost to an enduro car, obviously with the safety a little better, but they run down there weekly as well. The other one I want to talk about is Devil's Bowl Speedway. This track is somewhere I love to go. I don't get a lot of time to go down there, but I mean, they have some great shows, and Mike Bruno, who owns that over there, he does a phenomenal job, in my opinion, as far as, you know, putting on good races, getting the crowd excited about what's going on that night. They have got a great announcer, just like Thunder Road, got a great announcer. They keep the track, atmosphere just flowing. And, I think, a lot of people get a laugh out of some of the comments they make and things they say, and in my opinion, that means a lot to the crowd as far as just keeping them engaged with what's going on with the track. They run a sportsman mod, which is, same thing as Bear Ridge would. That's kind of your top tier modified scene around here. Unless you go to like the Super Dirt Car Series or something like that. But then, you got to have good sponsorship, good means behind you. Very competitive, lot of racing. They go down, they run like Charlotte Dirt Week, Volusia. We had a family friend that he ran the Super Dirt Car Series for a while, Adam Pearson, and same thing. I think he just got to a point where the means weren't always there, and it weren't from a lack of talent or anything. It was just not having what the other guys had, and still like to see him go out there and run the Super Dirt Car stuff out there, and see him at Devil's Bowl, go down there and try to go in the pit and see him and stuff. Yeah, but otherwise they got the limited mod, which is, again, I don't know the rule package differences between these. I would have to really go on and do my research between the Sportsman and Limited. But, another kind of feeder series. Then they got the Novice Modified Series too. So, you can start off in a Novice mod, get some seat time, just get used to the cars and how they work, and, setups and just how to get the car to go around the track. Then you can move up to a Limited and then up to a Sportsman. So it's pretty neat how, Devil's Bowl does that. They're very big with their modifieds out there. Of course, they're pretty close to New York, the big block modifieds and, just modifieds in general are pretty big in New York. So, it's pretty cool. They come over here, get to watch them at Devil's Bowl, and, I'm a racing fan and I love racing, and, I like horsepower. So when they come to town, it's a lot of fun to watch them. They also have a 500 mini sprint series. I do not believe they're associated with Granite State in any way. But yeah, they're just a 500cc mini sprint. Yeah, not much to really touch on there. I don't really know much about them or any drivers or, anything. I don't believe the cars are any different than what the Granite State mini sprint series is. I'm sure they're still hyper chassis, and, I don't know if they still run the single piston motors or what they run now. So I'm not sure there, but another great series. You see a lot of kids start off there, move up. And they got the mini stock series, which is your four-cylinder division again. A lot of cars, competitive from what I always hear. And last year, I believe it was the first year they started out the Crown Vic races. I feel like that's gotten pretty big the last couple of years. I don't know if any of you follow like Cletus McFarlane on YouTube or anything like that, but seemed to be some kind of, I don't know, just love for Crown Vics all of a sudden going around. But, I've heard they put on good shows last year. I've heard they had a pretty decent outcome. So yeah, it's pretty cool that they started that. Pretty excited for this upcoming year, to be honest with you, in the local racing scene. Just be able to go to the tracks again, and just be at that atmosphere. Just being out at the racetrack and seeing the cars and the people and the smiles on the kids' face, and the passionate fans that really care for their favorite drivers or the people they pull for, family or friends or whatever. I just love being at the track and being around it. It's part of me, and I truly enjoy it. I do want to talk a little bit on the NASCAR side too. I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about after the Las Vegas race, to be honest with you. It was like watching paint dry, in my opinion. Not crap for cautions. I think the racing was decent. Once the field got spread out, it was, my opinion, it was just very boring. That's about the only way I can really put it. I didn't get too much excitement out of watching the NASCAR race this last weekend. I did think the O'Reilly race was a little bit better. Larson won that. Hamlin won the Cup race. I think Phoenix the week before, that was that was a great show, and I think that's, in my opinion, where the grassroots racer in me, a little bit shorter track. You know, you gotta get the cars wound up for the corner and really get the cars to rotate in the center of the corner and have good drive off. And you know, I really like that. I think those kind of tracks are a driver's track, somebody that's finessed, you know, and I think that showed, you know, Blaney winning it. Lost throttle control there. You know, he's just smooth on the wheel, and he just knows how to get it done. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the 1.5 mile tracks and stuff. They're not bad, but Vegas was pretty boring, so I ain't got much to say about that. I do want to talk a little bit, though. Pretty excited to see Cletus and LS George, a.k.a. Squirrel McNutt, hop in some race cars this year. They're both Squirrel's supposed to be running Hickory here coming up March 28th, the ARCA Menard Series. That'll be cool. I see he just did a test with Landon Huffman. Just watched a video on that. That was cool. Seemed to do pretty good. Be honest with you, I mean, I'm very, very big fan of Cletus. You know, his personality's great. He cares about people. He cares about the team that he works with. You know, he has great people surrounding him. I personally, I think it's great what he's doing. I think it's good for the sport. I think it's good for just racing in general. You know, I hope it works out for him, and I hope, you know, it doesn't deter, you know, any fans from him or, you know, anything like that. You know, I'm on the Cletus bandwagon, and, you know, I'm still going to follow Cleat whether he's racing or if he's drag racing or even if he's just making, you know, videos at the shop with the guys or whatever. You know, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I have a very big pull towards him, and I think he's a heck of a guy. So, yeah, that'd be cool to see him, you know, get behind the wheel a little more this year and have his old buddy Squirrel McNutt racing with him. So, it'd be pretty neat. Yeah, so I believe he's got Squirrel. He's got the race at Hickory, March 28th. Then I believe he's got like a test at Kansas. And then if he does good in all that, then he'll be racing Talladega with Cleat. So that'll be pretty cool. You know, a little bit of shake and bake action, whatever. But yeah, otherwise, you know, I hope to see you all this year at the track. I hope that you guys, you know, are excited about racing season like I am. I know I can't wait for it to start and get things rolling. You know, we've been in the shop working on the car with Tyler Fellows, my best friend, you know, getting ready to go back to back. Yeah, so this year will be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to get it started and just get back to the track. There is 2 other tracks I did just think of that I should mention in the local scene around here, around us, is White Mountain and Riverside Speedway, both paved tracks. I don't go to them much. White Mountain I know has a pretty good draw, a lot of good fan base. Thunder Road, I believe Christmas Shod. I believe that's who owns Thunder Road. Don't quote me on that. But they're also part of White Mountain. I know it's the same owners. You know, I've heard a lot of good things. They race Saturday nights. Of course, we're racing Bay Ridge weekly Saturday nights in dirt stock. So, you know, it makes it tough to make it over there. You know, Riverside, I ran enduro there a couple of years ago. Pretty cool little track. I don't hear a whole lot of buzz going around town about Riverside, though, for whatever reason. I don't know if it's just because I'm too close to Thunder Road or what. But yeah, those are the tracks that are close to me, and those are tracks I'm hoping to go to this year. And, you know, I hope all you guys support your local racetracks and, you know, keep the local racing scene healthy around here. You know, I care about it, and I would like to think a lot of other people do too. Up here in the Northeast, I know it's tough in our area. It's hard to get good sponsorship. It's hard to find good backing. It's hard to, you know, just make that hard grind for season long, you know, battle, you know, week in, week out. And, you know, if you tear some stuff up, things can get expensive quick. And, you know, up here, it's just tough because we're just kind of out of the racing element in a sense, in a way, to the rest of the world. But, you know, I love it to pieces. And, you know, I don't want to see any of these tracks ever closed down or not be open or not be accessible to people to go watch racing. So, yeah, I just ready to get this year started. Let me know what you guys think about these tracks and if you've been there or not. And if you haven't, you know, if you're in the Vermont, New Hampshire area, I really push for you guys to check these places out. Great race tracks, very nice facilities, you know, good family fun. Go out, watch some guys, you know, sling some dirt or, you know, sling some rubber on asphalt track or whatever. Yeah, so I'm ready to get it started, and, you know, I hope you guys are excited, and please like and subscribe. Have a great day.